Hey, I wanted to be very happy and chirpy in this video and I'm like, but I can't because my mood is actually very downhill because my dad been taken to the hospital right now with a heart attack. So I'm just in a little bit. Nevertheless, I still want to make the video because first of all, I take my mind of things. Second of all, when their parents go through things like that, when their parents find out that one or the other cheated on them, kids are the biggest victim in this situation and it affects them the most. First of all, the arguments, especially if the child being the only child. I mean, it's not easier if there's 2, 3, 5, 10, but when the child going through that alone, totally alone, that's a little bit different. The age of a kid is playing a big part too, because obviously the younger you are, the less responsibility you have. But when you're a teenager, it can get to the point when parents will be just terrorizing you. Who do you pick? Who do you want to stay with? Especially if it's a messy divorce. A teenager gets in the middle of it and it becomes really hard to decide then who he wants to stay with. And I know you would agree with me that no child should ever go through anything like this, ever. So these are consequences of infidelity and adultery for children. Number 1, as I already mentioned, it's arguments and fighting. Believe me, even if you think that they don't hear it or they don't see it, they do. Even babies know that something is not right when parents are arguing. Even if they literally can't hear or see you arguing, they feel it on the emotional level. You know, the tension is in the air. And you can definitely see when there's tension between people as well. Now, this is serious. Parents, I need you to understand something. Maybe some of you don't know this. But when you are arguing in front of your children, even if nobody cheated on anybody and you just live together and we argue. But when you argue a lot and when it's quite violent argument, you're programming your children to have that experience of bad family. Family is bad, not safe. You're programming them not to want their own family when they grow up. You're programming them not to want to get married, not to want to have children. And then no wonder when they grow up, they actually say, I don't want to get married. And obviously they don't remember what happened in their childhood and you don't remember anymore what happened. And you would never think that it's you who did it. And even if they get married, they don't want to have children. And even when they want to have children, they can't have children. Yes, sometimes it can affect their reproductive system because it all comes from here. Yes, sometimes your children will grow up and they try to have their own children when they're married, but they can't. They physically cannot. She cannot bear a child or he cannot produce a healthy seed. It could take years of therapy to rewire their brain, to restart, to actually find out the problem of what's going on. Because in their program, since they were little kids, it's not safe to have children because they don't want their children to go through what they went through because they've been hurt when they were little. So they don't want that experience, but they don't know that. It's just been put there when they were going what they were going through. And that's why children are affected the most when parents are arguing. So please, parents, take your arguments as far as you can away from your children. I know it's sometimes actually impossible. I understand that and I've been through that and I have damaged my children a lot as well, but I didn't know any of these things when I wasn't there. So I make these videos for people so they are aware. Number 2 is when parents do decide to separate, live separately, different places, different houses, and that's when the fun begins. If parents are not mature enough, the game of pulling the blanket starts, and this is not a fun game for kids to play. Because in most cases, parents are starting to buy their children's love. Let's be honest, moms do spend more time with children, and mothers usually become the main parent who got children 24/7. And so because children mostly with their moms 24/7 most of the times, and dads, they have them maybe twice a week if kids are lucky. So dad becomes a fun parent. And because dads, they don't see their children that often, they try to make these days as fun as they can. So dad becomes a fun parent and mom becomes a Hitler because mom is the one who becomes mom and dad at the same time. She have to discipline her kids more now because she doesn't have a man figure in her home. So kids go and spend time with their dad and they come home and they tell mom all about it and say, how fun it was and how fun dad is, and everything they done was so amazing and fun. So mom is a normal human being who gets jealous of them loving their dad more than her, so she stops being a Hitler mom she was. So mom becomes a fun parent too and starts spoiling them as well with everything she can. You know what I mean. Both parents start pulling the blanket and try to see who the kids love more. Please don't do this to your children. It spoils them and it's not going to end well. Number 3, and it's another big thing, is that when parents start talk badly to their children about their other parent. Yes, it can happen, and it does happen quite a lot. Obviously, yes, we are all people, and we all every now and then can have our emotions out because of it's just too much to take. So it can happen when one of the sides obviously being betrayed, and the person, mom or dad, hurt so much at some point they just have a breakdown, and obviously you don't choose where or when it's gonna happen. So sometimes you just have a breakdown and your children around, so you just sort of let it all out, and that's when the bad stuff starts to come out. Look, if that happened to you, it doesn't make you bad, it just makes you a human being. It's okay, it wasn't your fault. But obviously when kids hear these sort of things, they can automatically start sort of behaving differently towards the other half, mom or dad. They start thinking of their mom or dad these things that they heard, and it's not their fault, they're just kids. Oh, and another thing is that even if parents, they work it out, they get back together, kids do not forget. Depends on the age. That's why I said age is important. Depends on the age, they remember these things. They can still treat your partner badly because of they remembering the things you've been telling them about them. I don't know how many times I'm going to be saying that. I made those mistakes. I speak from experience. I will never speak on this page about anything I haven't experienced or I haven't felt. So this is part 4. And sometimes parents, one parent, pass on to the other parent what kids were saying about them. Obviously, it's not you. It's just somebody who's not mature. Now, men and women, listen to me. When you spend time with your children and you're split with your partner, it doesn't matter how much they hurt you. It doesn't matter. It's not about you. It's not about them. It's about your children right now. So when you spend time with your kids and you had such a fun day, and in the moment your child will say something like, we never want to go back home to mommy, or we never want to go back home to daddy. It's the best time being with you all the time. Please don't send me back. Oh my gosh, don't ever say that to that person. Don't ever pass it on. Because today you're okay, but tomorrow you'll have a big argument with your ex-partner again, and you'll blur it out. Oh, please don't do that. Yes, we all are allowed to get mad and angry. It's about what you do with it. But even if you're angry, please don't say something like, my kid, whatever, my son told me that he doesn't like spending time with you, that he loves me more. He doesn't like you as much as he likes me. And sometimes we can even make it even bigger and better and say something like, they don't even like you, like they love me more, and the kid never even said that, but because in the moment you're angry, you want to hurt another person. Or a woman says that to a man, to their dad, and saying like, they don't even like you, they don't like spending time, they love me more, they told me that. And then you expect that he's gonna love them more, he's gonna spend more time with them, he's gonna take them more often. No, this is a big mistake. Don't ever do that. Another interesting thing is that if one of the sides or both sides have moved on and now have their new partners, that's when another fun begins, because sometimes their new partners can get quite involved. And by getting involved, I mean they add some wood to the fire, and they add some comments, and they just do some things that they shouldn't be doing. Look, yes, I know children are resilient to many things, some more than other. Don't look at how young or old your children are, because events like this can hurt even a 30-year-old child. I think it is a very harmful experience for any age, and unfortunately it can affect your children for life. Now I'm gonna speak to children of God. As children of God, as Christians, of course, none of us should ever go through any of these experiences. It's horrible, harmful experience that obviously doesn't come from God. But nobody is safe, and unfortunately lots of Christians going through that experience as well. And if it did, ask God for help, and please don't sort things out in front of your children. if you got nothing to say to your partner about your partner, please bite your lip, tongue, cheek, anything you need to bite, and just say nothing at all. Oh, I know how hard it is. I know it all. I've been through it all. So I just encourage you, please, I just encourage you, just pray. May God bless you and give you strength.